waiting for the music to get right before I started. Hey everybody, happy Friday. Hope everybody's getting ready for a hot weekend. We're gonna light it up. Hope everybody's lighting it up right now, actually. That's what the DMT visuals are for in the first place. All right. Let's see if we can get this show on the road. Welcome, guests, friends, compatriots, comrades. Welcome to the big show. I have a lot of news today, as usual. We're going to go from theme to theme to theme. Got to talk about Ghislaine Maxwell, the most mysterious woman in the world right now. News about that. I have a little news about Israel, and I have a lot of news about conspiracy theories and conspiracy theorists. Uh-oh. Be nice if I could get my video and audio right for every show, wouldn't it be? Wouldn't it be nice? Live on DLive and Twitch. DLive to the right of me, Twitch to the left of me, Doshi over my back. That's the Lift the Veil show. It's Friday, like I said, August 16th, 2019. If you're watching me on YouTube, in other words, there's a delay. In other words, it's not live. So don't try to call me, and feel free to go ahead and still give me super chats as if I'm really here. And I'll pretend I'll read them if you do that. But in the meantime, we're on platforms that give us a little bit more respect. A little bit more respect than YouTube. So thanks everybody who joins me there. That's dlive.tv/lifttheveil, twitch.tv/lifttheveil411. And the show starts at 2 p.m. my time. That's in California, 5 p.m. on the East Coast. And then you can figure out the time. Other than that, we take phone calls about an hour to an hour and a half into the show, typically. And you can support the show on DLive using their proprietary cryptocurrency, Lino. And then you can give diamonds like Wade did. Thanks, Wade1, for the diamond. All right. I think I gave people enough time to tune in. I'm going to give you the Jew news up front. As we know from yesterday, Israel decided to... Here, let's get serious. We're going to talk about Ghislaine Maxwell. We're going to talk about Prince Andrew. We're going to talk about... Now, we're going to show you a little Bernie Sanders, like I said, kind of Jew news. And then we're going to follow up with some conspiracy theory news, including the whistleblower for Google being part of maybe a conspiracy theory, and Owen Benjamin also, who is known as a conspiracy theorist. I just have an update from him that's kind of, I don't know, surprising to me. I'll show you that, even though we don't talk about other channels too much. So check this out. Nobody's willing to stand up to the Jays in Israel, right? Although Israel BB'd apparently at Trump's urging. Apparently Trump urged Benjamin Netanyahu to ban our 2 Muslim congresswomen from visiting that country. And then apparently yesterday, Israel went ahead and banned our 2 Muslim congresswomen from visiting the country because they're quote-unquote anti-Semitic, apparently. That would be Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib. Since then, I believe they've reversed their decision a little bit for Rashida because she has a sick relative in Palestine, apparently, or the Palestinian territory. And I'm not sure if she's deciding whether to go or not. But the Jew in the race, the old Jewish Bernie Sanders, socialist from Vermont, has been willing to call Israel out. So check this out. This is what everybody was This is what everybody was asking for.
Now from Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders, independent senator from Vermont. Senator, good to see you. What's your reaction to President Trump asking the president of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, to do this, and Netanyahu obliging?
Well, I wish I could tell you, Ali, that I am shocked. I am not. We have a president who tragically is a racist, is a xenophobe, and who is a religious bigot.
So Bernie starts everything off. And you know what? To be fair, Donald Trump has done some things that I think it would be fair to say are kind of racist, basically. Said things that are kind of racist, including the thing he said lately about people going back to their country. So when I say I think it's a losing avenue for Bernie to go down, I do. Even if, it might be a little bit accurate. I think I have to admit to myself at this point, I'm the first to defend Trump. I mean, they've accused him of saying things that they said were racist, which were blatantly not racist, like talking about crime infested. They made this crazy theory that every time he said infested, it was about black or brown neighborhoods or countries, and that was quite a stretch, I thought. So I know the media is biased against him, but in any case, Bernie has to lead with that, just like he did in the Cardi B interview I played yesterday, which was shocking. Bernie and Cardi B at a nail salon. Okay, this is the good news.
But the idea that a member of the United States Congress cannot visit a nation, which, by the way, we support to the tune of billions and billions of dollars, is clearly an outrage. And if Israel doesn't want members of the United States Congress to visit their country to get a firsthand look at what's going on, and I've been there many, many times, but if he doesn't want members to visit, maybe he can respectfully decline the billions of dollars that we give to Israel.
Over time, in excess of $140 billion. Last year alone, $3 billion in various types of aid. You've actually suggested that might be used to leverage some of Israel's behavior that Representatives Omar and Tlaib are critical of, as you've been critical of.
Well, all that I am saying is that we need a Middle East policy which is even-handed, which protects the independence and the safety of Israel, but also shows respect to the Palestinian people, many of whom in Gaza and elsewhere are suffering incredibly. Unemployment rate off the charts. People cannot leave their community. And I think what the United States should be doing, especially with the enormous amount of money we're spending there, is to demand that Israel and the Palestinian leadership sit down and start working out their differences and create peace in that troubled region.
All right. Great. This is an example of me not. I never write people off. So I try not to write people off, and I'm going to go into Owen Benjamin's surprising news stance on Islam, just to show you why, sometimes it's important to let people have their strengths and let people have their weaknesses. Alex Jones may be a propagandist for Israel and the Trump campaign, but, sometimes we're on the same side. And Ilhan Omar, might have a lot of problems as far as her politics go. She stands up a little bit to Israel, and I'm okay with that. And I'm always going to say that that's a good thing when people stand up for Israel. So that's Bernie Sanders, Jewish guy, who I guess has leeway to do this because they can't call him anti-Semitic. I guess he's the only one who can say something because they can't call him anti-Semitic. I see all the Bernie hate. Just saying, not bad news that he's talking about it. Thanks, Jeff Brady, for the diamond. Okay, so at the end of the show yesterday, is this the story? At the end of the show yesterday, this story broke. We had a caller call in saying, that Ghislaine Maxwell was spotted. And the story went, and this is from the New York Post, the story went that she was spotted in the Los Angeles area at an In-N-Out Burger by herself reading a book. Okay? So it gets weirder. First of all, she's posed for the picture. I saw a few tweets out about this today. One from Steve Outram, one from Titus Frost, both questioning the veracity of this story, the believability of this story. And my wife and I also discussing it. The picture, strange, posed. She's reading a book, right? She's at In-N-Out in Universal City, place she's guaranteed to be spotted. 2 days, allegedly, after the death of her business partner, boss, boyfriend, sex abuse participator. I'm going to read you about Ghislaine Maxwell, actually. Sorry. We believe it's pronounced Ghislaine. Here she is, anyway, allegedly added In-N-Out in LA. Very convenient, considering there was a story, and they're still reporting about how she was holed up in Massachusetts in kind of a wealthy, secluded area in a $3 million house, they said. And those reports have been confirmed that she was in the area, although they don't think she is anymore. That was followed up by another report which claimed to have information that she was in Paris. Her friends thought she was in Paris. And then, like yesterday, this story from the New York Post that she's in freaking Los Angeles at an In-N-Out Burger in freaking Universal City, posing for pictures too. And apparently she told an onlooker, I'm guessing this was actually a professional camera person, because I'll show you. Thought it might be fake, basically, from this story. Really. And then we find out she's reading a book called The Book of Honor, The Secret Lives and Deaths of CIA Operatives. She's reading a book called The Book of Honor, The Secret Lives and Deaths of CIA Operatives. A person who is accused of being a CIA operative or Mossad operative or intelligence operative. Someone who's been accused of being part of a honey trap, a blackmail scheme, with involvement of domestic or foreign intelligence services, reading a book called The Secret Lives and Deaths of CIA Operatives. And then we have a quote from her saying, quote, "Well, I guess this is the last time I'll be eating here," unquote. And then that quote sounds a little made up too. And then I thought to myself, the whole story's just a troll, and that she's not in LA. It's too convenient, her posing for the picture and everything. But the Daily Mail now is also reporting the same story, and they have more pictures, and more pictures is convincing me that it's real. She was said to be sitting alone at the In-N-Out restaurant with her dog when someone recognized her. And she was confronted by a fellow diner. So again, I'm not sure if this is just someone who got right in her face with their cell phone and started taking pictures, and so Ghislaine decided to look at the camera. Here she is looking at the camera again from the side, and there's the dog. Anybody want to guess what kind of dog it is? Is that a doodle of some sort? Or a poo? Is that some kind of poodle mix? There she is again from another angle. So, I mean, the person took a picture from this angle and then went around to the front and then went around to the other side even. And there's the picture that they had a close-up of. Ghislaine is just giving the person the stare. Maxwell stared directly into the camera as the photos were taken. He was wearing metallic sneakers, striped pants, and a gray sweatshirt. I wonder how they found out what book she was reading. Maybe they were able to. She is reading a book. She doesn't look quite as young. We were thinking maybe she looked a little young, and maybe the picture was taken at a totally different time. There she looks a little older. But that picture, she looks kind of the same as she has looked for a long time, actually. But there you can see a little more age on her. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Just trying to make sure it's real. So, she really was spotted in L.A.? There's a cannabis ad behind her. So this is L.A., I guess. There's a cannabis ad right here. Cannabis. On one of those ad boards. So that's her. That's what's going on with Ghislaine Maxwell. I'll tell you what she was accused of. I'm going to actually go back to an affidavit from 2015 just to tell you what has been said about her. Another person connected to the case, Randy Prince Andrew. This is reported in The Sun, which it says is news website of the year. Fergie takes panicked Prince Andrew on romantic holiday after disturbing Jeffrey Epstein revelations. So, hours before the death of the murder or disappearance of Jeffrey Epstein. Oh, I have more conspiracy news about that too. Hours before Epstein allegedly committed suicide, a trove of documents came out with more allegations against Prince Andrew, but I believe it's simply repeats of things we'd already heard, but stuff people weren't paying attention to at the time that they came out originally. So I'm going to read to you from a 2015 document. Apparently, he's panicked and he's on vacation with his ex-wife, who apparently they've been rekindling a romantic relationship, Sarah Ferguson, Fergie. And he was seen on Sunday. He was seen on Sunday, the day after the suicide, with the Queen, riding in the same car and everything, going to church together. So they're on big-time damage control over there in the UK, that royal family. They're showing that they're standing by their prince, that everybody's standing by their prince. They're showing him support. That's why Fergie's being pictured with him, to show that he's... an insider explained, quote, the Duchess insisted she go on holiday with the Duke to look after him. Oh, he's not Duke. I thought he was Prince Andrew. Anyway, to look after him and show the world she stands by him. The Duke has been fairly relaxed up to now. He's starting to shit himself. It's become the biggest story in the world, and he's at the heart of the coverage. So let me tell you exactly how he was accused from the documents, and Maxwell. So we'll get the here. Okay. This is from a 2015 affidavit, which I believe was struck from the original case, but is preserved on the internet. In addition to constantly, and this is written by Virginia Roberts Giuffre, in addition to constantly finding underage girls to satisfy their personal desires, Epstein and Maxwell also got girls for Epstein's friends and acquaintances. Epstein specifically told me that the reason for him doing this was so that they would, quote unquote, owe him. They would be, quote, in his pocket, unquote, and he would, quote, have something on them, unquote. I understood him to mean that when someone was in his pocket, they owed him favors. I also understood that Epstein thought he could get leniency if he was ever caught doing anything illegal, or more so that he could escape trouble altogether. Ghislaine Maxwell was heavily involved in the illegal sex. I understood her to be a very powerful person. She used Epstein's money, and he used her name and connections to gain power and prestige. One way to describe Maxwell's role was as the madam. She assumed a position of trust for all the girls, including me. She got me to trust her and Epstein. It turned out that Maxwell was all about sex all the time. She had sex with underage girls virtually every day when I was around her, and she was very forceful. I first had sexual activities with her when I was approximately 15 at the Palm Beach mansion. Now, since this time, it turns out Virginia was older than she thought. She thought she was 15, and I think she was 17. It turns out at least 16, maybe 17 the whole time. In any case, this is the way she remembered it then. I had many sexual activities with her over the next several years in Epstein's various residences, plus other exotic locations. I had sex with Maxwell on the Virgin Islands, New Mexico, New York, as well as France and many other locations. I also observed Maxwell have sex with dozens of underage girls. Maxwell took pictures of many of the underage girls. These pictures were sexually explicit. Maxwell kept the pictures on the computers in the various houses. She also made hard copies of these images and displayed them in the various houses. Maxwell had large amounts of child pornography that she personally made. Many times she made me sleep with other girls, some of whom were very young, for purposes of taking sexual pictures. So that's on Ghislaine Maxwell. So that's what she's accused of, not just facilitating the sexual perversions, the sexual assaults, but actually participating and apparently very forceful. Here's the part about Prince Andrew. Epstein made me have sex with Prince Andrew several times. Prince Andrew, then she shows the photograph. I had sex with him 3 times, including one orgy. I knew he was a member of the British royal family, but I just called him Andy. There's the picture. There's Maxwell there in the background. There's Prince Andrew with Virginia, Maxwell, Virginia Roberts Giuffre. One day when I was in London, I got news from Maxwell that I would be meeting a prince. Later that day, Epstein told me I was meeting a major prince. Epstein told me to exceed everything I had been taught. He emphasized that whatever Prince Andrew wanted, I was to make sure he got. Eventually, Prince Andrew arrived along with his security guards. The guards then went out of the house and stayed out front in their car. It was just Epstein, Maxwell, and me inside, alone with Andy. I was introduced to the prince, and we kissed formally cheek to cheek. There was a lot of legal discussion about Andy and his ex-wife, Fergie. Then the discussion turned to me. Maxwell said, "Guess how old she is?" Prince Andrew guessed 17. They go out to dinner. They take the picture when they come back. After the picture, Epstein and Maxwell kissed me and said to have fun. They left Andy and me alone upstairs. We went to the bathroom and bedroom, which were just steps away from where the picture was taken. We engaged in sexual activities there. Afterwards, Andy left quickly with his security. She talked to Epstein afterwards. She says it was horrible to have to recount these events and have to try to meet all these needs and wants. I told Epstein about Andy's sexual interests in feet. Epstein thought it was very funny. She got paid $15,000. The second time I had sex with Prince Andrew was in Epstein's New York mansion in spring 2001. I was 17 at the time. Epstein called me down to his office. When I got there, Epstein was there along with Maxwell, Johanna Sjoberg, and Andy. I was very surprised to see him again. Epstein and Maxwell were making lewd jokes about Randy Andy. I had the impression that Andy had come there to see Epstein and to have sex with me. There was no other apparent purpose for Andy to be there. I was told to go upstairs with Andy and go to the room I thought of as the dungeon, the massage room. I had sex with Andy there. I was only paid $400 from Epstein for servicing Andy that time. The third time I had sex with Andy was in an orgy on Epstein's private island in the U.S. Virgin Islands. I was around 18 at the time. Epstein, Andy, approximately eight other young girls, and I had sex together. The other girls all seemed and appeared to be under the age of 18 and didn't really speak English. Epstein laughed about the fact they couldn't really communicate, saying they are the easiest girls to get along with. My assumption was that Jean-Luc Brunel got the girls from Eastern Europe. They were young and European looking and sounding. So that's Prince Andrew hooking up with Virginia Roberts, being trafficked. Virginia Roberts, being trafficked to Prince Andrew under the age of 18, which in the UK, as far as age, isn't illegal in and of itself. But you see what the accusations are. And so that's what's being reported, and that's what people are paying attention to right now. So he is on a, kind of a goodwill tour, it looks like, trying to get his picture out there with people around him supporting him. So regarding conspiracy theories about the Jeffrey Epstein suicide, murder, disappearance, here's something else that was on 8chan before the death was reported of Jeffrey Epstein, before anything was public in the news. And we talked about how it was there were posts on 4chan saying that he committed suicide and talking about what the emergency response was to it, what the life-saving measures that were taken and so forth. But it was reported on 4chan by an anonymous user before there was any other known news about it, which was a tweet from an ABC news source. This was also on there, apparently. And the post says, not saying anything after this, please do not try to dox me. But last night after 04:15 count, they took him medical in a wheelchair, front cuffed, but not one triage nurse says they spoke to him. Okay, so last night after 4:15 in the morning, they took him medical in a wheelchair, front cuffed, but not one triage nurse says they spoke to him. Next thing we know, a trip van shows up. We do not do releases. A trip van would be to take him somewhere from jail. We do not do releases on the weekends unless a judge orders it. Next thing we know, he's put in a single man cell and hangs himself. Here's the thing. The trip van did not sign in, and we did not record the plate number. And a guy in a green dress military outfit was in the back of the van, according to the tower guy who let him through the gate. You guys, I'm shaking right now, but I think they switched him out, it says. I'm shaking right now, but I think they switched him out. You think they could have done an autopsy on a body double? Think they could have killed the body double? I mean, it was a bit different person on the stretcher. Do you think the autopsy could be on this guy with this ear? This is the guy. Do you think they really killed that guy and switched him out in jail? I don't know why they don't have a good picture of his ear here, but it is completely different. This guy has a totally weird ear, totally distinctive. Anyway, weird conspiracy theory, right? Weird conspiracy theory. Okay, I'm going to move on to conspiracy theory news. First, let me give a shout out to our sponsor, truthclothing.io. We are banned from PayPal. But we can run a legitimate business, which is this one, Truth Revolution Clothing. That's truthclothing.io. The one thing we have that's exciting is a new shirt, which is a limited edition shirt, which is the plan is just for it to be available for pre-sale, which ends in 5 days, I believe. This is a propaganda t-shirt, baseball tee, and women's slouchy tee. Here it is. Propaganda. Then the major networks are there. Pre-order by, it doesn't even say. Well, we believe it's 5 days left, and then we have to print them so that we can send them out. Propaganda tee and other styles made to order. You can also check out everything else we have. I'm wearing our Truth Matters baseball tee. The baseball tee was cool. Here, I can go to my main thing. See? This one worked out cool, so that's why we did it for this new propaganda shirt too. And then we have everything else at truthclothing.io, Truth Revolution Clothing, free shipping over $50, and it's fast shipping. We get the shirts printed here in California, and we pick them out. Really, really nice stuff. Good way to support the show since, they don't want us to get supported anywhere else. It's only a matter of time. All right. Here's the news about conspiracy theories. We're going to get into this. So conspiracy theories, we know that the government came out, the FBI in Phoenix came out with this report, this intelligence bulletin that says anti-government, identity-based, and fringe political conspiracy theories very likely motivate some domestic extremists to commit criminal, sometimes violent activity. Okay. This document lists, does it identify QAnon? I can't even remember now. I believe it does identify QAnon. Identifies Pizzagate, the New World Order, QAnon. It identifies the Zionist occupation government, ZOG, which we're actually going to talk about. We're going to talk about the Google whistleblower who believed in the Zionist occupation government. QAnon, HARP. Even HARP is a conspiracy theory that could lead to violence because somebody tried to blow it up, I guess, out there in Alaska. So this report came out. Since then, people have been really worried about conspiracy theories. Conspiracy theories can have dangerous consequences. Here's why experts say we can no longer ignore them. The conspiracy theory they're really, really mad about is Donald Trump daring to retweet this, so-called comedian who just put out there that the Clintons might have killed Jeffrey Epstein, that the death of Jeffrey Epstein might have been a little suspicious. Donald Trump happened to retweet it. Donald Trump happens to believe in what they call conspiracy theories, and I want to go through his conspiracy theories to see which ones you think are real and which ones you think might actually be, false conspiracy theories. But they go through them one by one here. He's been getting a lot of flack. And then conspiracy theories, right? They lead to violence, apparently. Here we go. This is the video Time made about him. Here's why experts say we can no longer ignore conspiracy theories. Whole article.
Donald Trump built his political career on a conspiracy theory. The idea that President Obama was not born in the United States. Okay,
so we can take a poll. This is a big one. This is how he got on the map. President Obama not born in the United States. If you agree, press 1 that he wasn't born in the United States. And then if you think maybe he was, you can press 2 if you're not sure. I guess it's hard to say for sure. 1 or 2. You can.
Trump repeatedly pushed the idea in interviews and on social media long after it was disproved.
Why doesn't he show his birth certificate?
And I have my own theory on Obama.
It's one of the greatest scams in the history of politics.
But it's not the only conspiracy theory he's indulged.
Okay, I'm going to show you guys the poll results right there so you can see it on both screens. A lot of people say. Okay, so that's one thing that you guys think is true based on the evidence. So who's to say what's conspiracy theory or not? You guys have looked at the evidence.
On the campaign trail and in the White House, he's toyed with some outlandish ideas. That investor Jeffrey Epstein's suicide in jail was suspicious and might have involved former President Bill Clinton.
I don't even have to ask you about that one. It was suspicious. It might have involved Bill Clinton.
The retweet, which is what it was, the retweet, was from somebody that's a very respected conservative pundit.
That's funny.
So I think that was fine.
That Ted Cruz's father might be
a very respected conservative pundit. That's not what that guy was exactly. He goes, oh, I think it's fine.
Involved in the Kennedy assassination.
His father was with Lee Harvey Oswald. What was he doing with Lee Harvey Oswald shortly before the death?
Do you guys know anything about that one? Who was that? Marco Rubio's father? Let's see. Who was it?
That Ted Cruz's father.
Ted Cruz's father? Do you guys look into that one? Was Ted Cruz's father at the JFK assassination?
Involved in the Kennedy assassination.
Involved in the JFK assassination? A or B, if you don't know. A, if it's true that he was.
His father was with Lee Harvey Oswald.
Thanks, Rainier, for the diamond.
Lee Harvey Oswald shortly before the...
Was he really with Lee Harvey Oswald, Ted Cruz? That's crazy.
Death before the shooting.
Did anybody ever deny that it was the father? They're not saying, oh, that wasn't really my father. It's a little hard to do because it looks like him.
That Marco Rubio might not be eligible to run for president, an argument no constitutional scholar supported.
You're really not sure that Marco Rubio is eligible to run for president?
I don't know. I've never looked at it, George. Honestly, I've never looked at it. Somebody said he's not, and I retweeted it.
That routine vaccinations cause autism, a theory scientists have long debunked.
Okay, well, vaccines can and do cause autism. We're not saying every time somebody gets a vaccine, but there's overwhelming evidence, at least as far as doctors who treat patients are concerned, and as far as us paying out from our secret vaccine court. So that is provable, even if they won't admit it. There are cases where doctors who treat children say that the children became autistic after getting a vaccine. So they said it would come from the vaccine.
The child, a beautiful child, went to have the vaccine and came back and a week later got a tremendous fever, got very, very sick, now is autistic.
We have extremely well-documented proof that there's no autism associated with vaccinations.
That Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia might have been murdered.
Scalia, was he murdered? I know it's pretty brutal to say that.
It's a horrible topic, but they say they found a pillow on his face, which is a pretty unusual place to find a pillow.
True.
I can't tell you what, I can't give you an answer.
That Muslims in New Jersey.
You know what? I think that he did have a pillow put over his face, right? That's what I heard reported. And if that's true, then that's suspicious. And then they'll say, oh, it's not suspicious. They have a pillow. And he was out with some secret society hunting and stuff. It was a real strange secret society he was out with. And Scalia was declared dead over the phone. He was pronounced dead over the phone, which is really crazy. In other words, no one came to confirm he was dead. They just said, oh, okay, he looks dead, okay. So that's not so crazy. Muslims cheering after 9/11. He meant Israelis.
Cheered after 9/11, a claim no one has ever substantiated.
And I watched in Jersey City, New Jersey, where thousands and thousands of people were cheering.
In the other side of New Jersey, where you have large Arab populations, they were cheering as the World Trade Center came down.
That millions of Americans voted illegally in 2016, a claim with no factual support.
I don't know about that either. I'm just not sure. I don't know how people say it, though. I'm sure a lot of people believe it, too. All I can say is, as they point out in this article, there have been studies. This is one from the American Journal, published in the American Journal of Political Science about conspiracy theories that says, using 4 nationally representative surveys sampled between 2006 and 2011, we find that half of the American public consistently endorses at least one conspiracy theory, and that many popular conspiracy theories are differentiated along ideological and economic dimensions. Okay, about half. So every article that says conspiracy theories, and then there's the other half of everybody that also believes in a conspiracy theory that's simply where the conspiracy theory just happens to go along with the mainstream opinion on the subject. Then it's still a conspiracy theory. It's still false. They still believe in a false paradigm. I'd say 100% of people believe in some conspiracy theory, 100%. And a lot of them are right about what other people would call conspiracy theories. A lot of people are wrong about things that are accepted as fact. So that's where the term conspiracy theorist got us. And in any case, now with the Jeffrey Epstein alleged suicide, now everybody's a conspiracy theorist. I don't even know what to think after that weird 4chan post. And the fact that the person in the stretcher was a different person. Maybe they did an autopsy on a different person. Maybe they put a different person in a cell. That's quite a conspiracy theory, but there are a lot of other irregularities. I mean, he did have a young woman visit him alone, locked door, for at least a couple hours. He was getting special treatment already by the facility, another attorney said. Everybody's a conspiracy theorist. Somebody's trying to call me. I will take calls. I will take calls later. All right. So, in any case, the it's crazy that they want to talk about conspiracy theories and they won't talk about Russiagate. Oh, that's the other thing that they go over in this piece. Hold on.
The president believe that millions voted illegally in this election.
He continues to maintain that belief based on studies and evidence that people have presented to him.
And what evidence do you have?
As I said, I think the president has believed that for a while based on studies and information he has.
That climate change is a hoax.
Right.
All of this with the global warming and that, a lot of it's a hoax. It's a hoax. I mean, it's a money-making industry.
It is.
Okay? That
He's
Russian
right about
meddling
that.
in the 2016 election is a hoax.
Stock market, listen to the tweets he says, that they say is him spreading conspiracy theories. Stock market hit another all-time high despite the Russian hoax stories. The Russia-Trump collusion story is a total hoax, which it was. Interesting to watch Senator Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut talking about hoax Russian collusion, which he was totally right about. So it was a conspiracy theory not to believe the conspiracy theory. That's how backwards things are. Thanks, Neo2, for the diamond and the shoe emoji. All right. Speaking of conspiracy theories, this guy, I'll get into Zach Voorhees and that conspiracy theory. QAnon supporters claim they were censored at Trump's New Hampshire rally. So he had a rally last night. He claims it was the biggest ever. Now there are countering claims. There are pictures that people are putting up of empty seats while he's talking. He said it's the biggest crowd they've ever gotten in this stadium. But QAnon supporters claim they were censored at Trump's New Hampshire rally. Apparently, somebody around Donald Trump doesn't want all the Q memorabilia being displayed at his big campaign style events. One previously common sight was less readily apparent, the letter Q. I'll show you. One person was wearing a shirt with a large Q and the string of characters WWG1 WGA, where we go one, we go all. He explained that he was going through security at the event. He was asked by a man he identified as Secret Service to turn his shirt inside out. He said he saw 2 other people who he didn't know were asked the same thing. So if Donald Trump believes in QAnon, he doesn't want it showing up at his rallies anymore. And now 8chan's gone too. Is QAnon going to die a slow death? Some people have said QAnon will never die. I think I've said that too. It will never die. Not entirely, I don't think. Some charlatans will keep pushing it. People will still come after me on Twitter for talking about it. People still believe QAnon, including, and this is a major story about this whistleblower from, and we're not there yet. Okay, I'll show you what the major story is. It's a major find. Zach Voorhees was smeared by the Daily Beast. Zach Voorhees is the Google whistleblower who was involved in a document dump with Project Veritas. It was outed by Will Sommer, of course, enemy of the people, Will Sommer, at the Daily Beast, who said James O'Keefe's Google whistleblower loves QAnon and accused Zionists of running the government. And what Mr. Sommer did was go to old tweets from this guy, Zach Voorhees. And actually, it's really funny. This is one of the tweets. This group makes a lot more sense once you understand it's a front for the Zionist occupational government. It's supposedly the Zionist occupation government. Zionist occupational, pretty funny. Pretty funny he got it wrong. He also used the triple parentheses, which is an anti-Jew thing. He mentioned the Jewish transatlantic slave trade. He mentions the triple parenthesis globalist media, blaming white people. Apparently, he repeatedly used the word goy on Twitter, which is very popular with anti-Semites, implying that Jews control non-Jewish people. Can you imagine? He talked about the cabal. He replied to Caitlin Johnstone, who was talking about QAnon, saying the narrative of QAnon has been more accurate than any other news outlet. And then here he did a shout out to Pizzagate, Zach Voorhees, showing a Time magazine with a child crying, looking up at John Podesta, and it says better ingredients, better pizza, John Podesta, because it's an ironic twist, satire of the Time magazine cover. Well, this is the unbelievable find. And thank you to Hoax Wars, who wasn't here to introduce the show today, but this is actually unbelievable. This is actually unbelievable news. And I'd only know about it from Hoax Wars. This is a video with 198 views. YouTube senior software engineer, I escaped active shooting situation. If you guys remember, Nassim Aghdam, the very first YouTube shooter, the first creator to respond to what was happening to her by using violence, which we don't appreciate. Thanks, the ugly Jew, for the diamond. And that's your name, so I'm not being anti-Semitic. You support what we're talking about, right? This didn't have anything to do with Jews, I don't think. The YouTube shooter, but she was, well, it had something to do with it, actually. But not explicitly. That's not what this story is about, actually. Nassim, who was mistreated by YouTube, I'm mistreated in many of exactly the same ways. I think she really had a point. I think she was a really creative content creator. I'm not saying what she did was wrong. We don't like violence. And, well, anyway, if they give us a strike on YouTube, we know what YouTube is all about anyway. She was angry at the company, and I think probably rightfully so, and they tried to tone it down in the media. Here's what she had to say about it. Here's from a video from the local Mercury
being
News
discriminated and filtered on YouTube, and I'm not the only one. if you go and check my videos, you see that my new videos hardly get views, and my old videos that used to get many views stopped getting views. So this is because I'm being filtered. Never talk about your own beliefs. Otherwise, you will be discriminated and censored. Growing on YouTube is not in your hands. It all depends on who is controlling your channel. If she or he likes your videos, then they will let your videos get views. Otherwise,
your videos will be merely relegated. And she's right. It doesn't matter what you want, or if they decide that they don't like you, they can do what they want. And then your fate is no longer in your hands, which is, again, one of the reasons that we don't spend much time there. And we're not live there now, is because we want to be in control of our own destiny. We want to be somewhere where we're treated equally, and we are treated equally, at least on DLive and Twitch, where they don't discriminate and they don't apply rules in a discriminatory way. Nassim tragically died, allegedly, I should say. And this guy, who's now the Google whistleblower, was allegedly there and saw the whole thing. This is the interview. It's about 4 minutes long. I haven't listened to the whole thing, but I'm not sure it matches up with the official details here. Anyway, this is him. You have to decide what to think now. Is he a LARPer, or does he just like attention? Sometimes I think, I don't want to give anything away, but sometimes I think that people who we think of as crisis actors, and so people say, fuck YouTube, people who we think of as crisis actors are actually people who just like being in front of a camera, and they're willing to make stuff up about what they saw in order to do that and kind of have an interesting story. I do think that's something that happens. This is Zach Voorhees. I know it says Dion Lim on there. I think that's the reporter. But I do think that happens sometimes. This is a guy, maybe he kind of likes being in the spotlight. I'm wondering, okay, based on him being interviewed for this.
Right now by Zach Voorhees, a senior software engineer at YouTube, who actually witnessed what seems to be part of this shooting incident. Tell me exactly what happened.
Yeah, that's right. So what happened was I was sitting at my desk programming when we all heard the fire alarm come off. So we evacuated the building. I had my skateboard. I started skating down towards the lunch courtyard area, and I heard a commotion. And I saw somebody screaming out, "Come and get me!" And
come and get me.
I saw to my left, his right, that there was somebody on the ground on his back with what looked like a red stain on his stomach, which I'm going to guess is a bullet wound. And I didn't really understand exactly what was going on until the police came through the door with an assault rifle. And then I got out of there. I ran out. I escaped through the parking structure, and I exited the building.
Wow.
What are the chances? What are the chances he was there, and he's being quoted in like the New York Times, or this is all from back when the shooting happened. Senior software engineer at YouTube said he grabbed his electric skateboard. He saw a man lying motionless in one of the office's outdoor dining areas. Listen, what are the odds? What are the odds that it was this guy that got the closest to it, that he was the one that that everybody reported on, the AP and everything? Zach Voorhees. Ends up he likes QAnon, and that he's calling out the Jew world order, or whatever he wants to call it. Putting things in triple parentheses, for God's sake. I mean, he's on the verge of, he might be on the verge of, shooting up YouTube himself, according to the FBI. Okay, we'll carry on.
I mean, what went through your head when you saw this? Because you see a man lying on the ground. Was there any shooter nearby? Paint me a picture of what went through your head.
So what happened was that there was a guy on the ground. He had been shot, and the shooter was within 20 feet from him, and he was yelling, "Come and get me!"
Okay, the shooter was 20 feet, and he was yelling, "Come and get me!" Listen to this. I think he identifies the shooter possibly as male. Well, listen closely.
I didn't understand what was going on at the time. And yeah, that was it. It was the shooter and apparently his victim within 25 feet of each other.
And his victim.
Do you ever think that you're a little bit too close for comfort? I mean, I know you bolted out as soon as you possibly could on your skateboard.
Yeah, I mean, obviously would not have gone that direction, and it was definitely a little too close for comfort. And as soon as the police were there, I was like, I do not want to get in the middle of this shooting match. So I escaped.
So many details are coming in at such a rapid.
He rode his skateboard directly toward the shooting, and then he identifies the shooter as a man. Says he saw. I mean, what an unbelievable story.
Pace. It's hard to keep them all straight. Can you give me a description of what that shooter looked like?
He looked like he was a bit heavy set. I didn't recognize him from YouTube. I would have guessed that he was 5'9", but it happened so quickly that the details are a little bit fuzzy still.
I can only imagine. Did he?
What? Huh? I mean, right? He was heavy set. Nassim doesn't look heavy set. I don't even think she's 5'9". That'd be pretty tall. What happened with Nassim Aghdam? What happened in there that day at YouTube headquarters? Was it like the Pizzagate shooter? What happened that day?
Did he have an accent or any clothing that would give away more of his identity?
The only thing that I can remember is that he looked like he was wearing gray. Yeah. So, yeah.
So tell me, how do you think that he could have possibly entered? I mean, security-wise at YouTube, are there metal detectors? I mean, are there badges you need to swipe in order to get into that area?
So I can't go much into the security of YouTube, but I can say that they have security doors.
He decided he would go into the security of YouTube. This is the YouTube whistleblower, guys. This is breaking news. I mean, this is it's huge, major, enormous news. If you care about YouTube and the truth and creativity, love, veganism, animals, if you care about those things, then this is big news. It's the same guy. What are the chances?
But
so you saw
the
a guy.
Garage area allows walk-in, and I come in the morning often on my skateboard, and I kind of sail through the parking garage, and I'm able to get into the outside courtyard area, which is where he was at. So he was in an area that was technically somebody from the public could access.
Let me ask you, you said that your phone has been blowing up with text messages and inquiries from friends and family. What have you heard so far from the rest of your colleagues?
I haven't really talked. I've only talked to one colleague so far. I went live on Facebook because everybody's hungry for information on what's happening, and I've just been blowing up with requests from my family and my friends, trying to see if I've been all right. There was one person who I believed worked in the facilities who actually witnessed the shooting, and I actually have his interview on my phone.
Oh, I'll try and get that from you in a little bit, unless you want to. Would you like to pull that up now? Do you have a moment? So for all of you who are
No
just
way.
tuning in, we are in San Bruno outside the YouTube campus where I'm speaking with a senior
No
software
way.
engineer right now, Zach Voorhees, who just escaped this active shooter situation. He saw, according to him, a body on the ground with some sort of wound to the chest and abdomen area. He escaped through the parking garage.
He had video on his phone, too, and he went live on Facebook, too. Huh? What do you think about this guy? He wants to be a hero or something. He identified a male shooter and somebody saying, come and get me. Come and get me. Huh? So, thanks to Hoax Wars. DLive.tv/Hoax Wars. Sometimes he does a preview for this show. I don't think he's here today. All right. People are saying to interview him. I wonder what to interview him. I could. He might be a LARPer. What if he's just a LARPer? All right. Finally, I did have some news about, just because I was watching it today, it's interesting how people change, and then people can talk about what they believe in and stuff. But there is a lot of talk on the right wing about Islam and Muslims, particularly, and this is one of the worst offenders, Owen Benjamin. And I just, I found this was interesting, so I felt compelled to talk about it. Let me see where my timestamp is. So all of a sudden, this is a guy that always used to talk about Muzzies and defended Tommy Robinson, and which a lot of people do, even though I don't. He's a provocateur. He's a Zionist, and I don't agree with it. Anyway, he got himself arrested. He knows what he was doing. All that stuff. Anyway, this is a guy that defended him, and then was saying Palestinians were out butt effing sheep and stuff. I pulled a clip of him saying that. So here's the newest thing. You guys tell me what you think. Listen to this. This is different. Because people don't talk about the Jewish religion much. And there are a lot of things you can criticize in the Jewish religion and the Talmud and stuff, and they don't let you do that. But apparently talking about Muslims is cool, and the president does that, and the way people talk about them is considered on the right in particular is considered a cool thing to do. It's popular, right? Owen was on board. So here's the latest. Let me just play it for you.
And no one knows anything else about it. That's why as much as sometimes I give props to Islam as a discipline, some of the worst people in the world say they're Muslim. A lot of these Arabs from these hellholes that they come from are capable of the most destruction there is. I mean, they're absolute creatures. But the religion of Islam is not that. And that's why you have to be discerning. You have to figure out, what does it mean to be a Muslim? What are the terms and conditions? What are the contractual obligations of a Muslim? Now, are these people being good Muslims? Are they being Muslims, or are they being liars? Like, for example, Steven Crowder is not acting at all like a Christian. Sterilizing your wife so you don't have kids, so you can pursue material interests as you lie professionally for...
I don't get into the...
small hats.
There are a lot of things I don't agree.
Christian.
But anyway.
So his behavior should not reflect on Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Just like a lot of Muslim behavior should not reflect on what Islam says. Islam says you can't murder people. So that's the thing. That's why you have to understand the contracts of a human being.
All right. So he said that, and then he got into arguing with people. I'm just saying this because I never see anybody defend Islam, even in the process of criticizing Judaism, which is easy to criticize, and people kind of leave it alone. Anyway, I disagree with Owen on a lot of things. He is kind of a bigot in a lot of ways. You can definitely say that. Jeff Brady, thanks for the diamond. He's currently on a YouTube suspension. Yeah, I know. We have that in common. There are a lot of ways I disagree, but I haven't seen anybody actually say, I don't see anybody say that, especially people who call themselves Christian. A lot of people who call themselves Christian are always attacking Islam for this and this, and I could never find anybody to point out something in the text. People talk about Muhammad having sex with kids. Somebody has to point that out to me. I've asked for it before. I've asked for the quotes. But we know in the Talmud and the basically part of the religion of Judaism, part of it, the whole thing is that Jews are special and different from other human beings, and that they're inherently good in ways that other human beings are not. And I think just that alone is, besides some of the other stuff it says, that's a supremacist, it's a racist. You can say that that's racist and supremacist, right? They believe that their enemies, should get things that you wouldn't do to a Jew, which doesn't get criticized very often. But people say this other stuff here. I'm going to show you argue. I'm just going to show you. It's just a different kind of thing. I'll see how people respond to it.
I'm not fighting about Islam with people. If you can't respect that I have respect for Islam, that means you can't follow the basic rules here. I don't practice it. I think there's flaws in it, obviously. It goes against my religion on some fundamental levels, but in general, it's a orderly neighbor. And so when people are like, Islam is Satan, it's like, then you have to leave. Because even if you think that, I've asked you not to fill the chat with that.
Crazy because you would have thought people would be filling the chat with that, and it would have been totally cool. I just, like with Bernie Sanders, you got to say when people do something that you agree with. Might as well point it out. So that's Owen Benjamin. We don't spend much time talking about other channels, but we tune into that channel once in a while, and and generally support what Owen's doing, which is trying to tell the truth and going on a personal journey at the same time. He might believe something today that he changes his mind on later when he gets more information, and that's one of the things that he decided to do with that. So, lots of great news today. Thanks everybody who supports the show. Thanks everybody who supports the show with Lino on DLive. Thanks everybody who supports us in other ways, super chats on YouTube, etc. This is not live on YouTube, so don't call, but I have been getting people blowing me up. So let me try to open the phone, which the number 650-GAY-TAXI. 650. So Owen is banned from YouTube. He got a strike. I got a strike. He's on his backup channel. I didn't bother going on my backup channel because this is kind of my backup channel where people can watch the show. People can always watch the show. There's replays and everything. You can always watch the show as soon as it's over. Starts at 2 p.m. dlive.tv/lifttheveil. Sorry, I got to get my phone open. Sorry. There. 650-429-8294. 650-GAY-TAXI. So once in a while I tune into that show. It's interesting. He's an interesting person. I see why people say the things they say about him, but just shows you don't have to agree with people on everything. He should be on DLive, really, if they'd allow him. That would be the best thing, because that would solve the PayPal problem and some of the other problems too. We both have a PayPal problem together. He does talk about Jews a lot. But he's fired up. And they've let him get away with it this long, in some sense or another sense. 650-429-8294. I did see some people calling in during the show, so we'll see if those same people want to join. The length of the show depends a little bit on whether people want to call in. So if you have something interesting to say, we went over a lot of interesting facts. 650-429-8294. Let me see. I'll take a look at the chest. People are talking about it. Chest is a decent size right now. We have a thanks everybody who tunes in on these alternative platforms, by the way. Yeah, that's true, Mike Maker. He's doing his own thing with his website. I guess he takes down his videos after he uploads them to his other site. I'm gonna have another site. It's there in principle where the shows are stored, you know, because a lot of stuff doesn't end up on YouTube and then gets deleted. Okay, I got it. This is Nathan. You're on the air.
Hey, Nathan. How you doing?
Good, thanks. How are you doing?
Doing good, thanks. Hey, just wanted to share a story with you, actually.
Great.
Yeah, you know, I've been dealing with this incident that happened to me. You know, I don't have a great recollection of it, but one time I was butt rammed by Tony Podesta in the basement. I called it ping pong.
I know.
How you doing,
got
bud?
me again. I saw it coming though this time. Nobody even got to hear it. Anyway, go ahead. What's up?
Hey, any word from DeFango and Goodman?
DeFango and Goodman regarding what? You mean like what's the latest drama?
Yeah, didn't DeFango go to New York to see Goodman?
Oh, is that why he went there? I saw DeFango streaming from New York. All right. Well, you're the person who wants me to cover the YouTube drama more often.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And I just do podcasts. You know, I got sucked back into I got on YouTube like a week ago, and I haven't been able to get off. I'm trying today. So hoping you'll throw some YouTube drama in there every now and then. You know what I mean?
Okay, I've been working on slipping some stuff in here and there. I mean, if you listen closely, once in a while you'll get a little update. But you know, I try to stay out of the crossfire.
I know. I definitely don't want to put you through that. You know, I don't. You know, I know it's hard for you when you're in the middle of it. But another question I had for you. Ever since this whole Epstein, you know, suicide thing went down, has there been any word from Cernovich or Dershowitz?
Dershowitz had went out. He's been talking and he's been making comments to reporters who write about him, just denying everything, saying that everybody's lying. So Dershowitz has definitely been saying stuff. Who was the other question? Who else were you asking about?
Kokovich.
Oh, Cernovich. Yeah, okay. So that is some drama with Cernovich being accused of being lined up with like Gabe Hoffman, in that they're all trying to protect Epstein in some sense. So I haven't followed it super closely, but that is kind of an accusation that's out there from Stranahan, right? Stranahan was going after Cernovich because originally Cernovich seemed to be working with Dershowitz against Virginia Giuffre.
Yeah, no, I remember all that, but I'm curious, have any of them come out since Epstein has committed suicide or died or whatever?
I would have to do more research. I'd have to do more research on what they've been promoting on their various Twitter feeds.
Yeah, I was kind of curious about that. It seems like, you know, we were hearing things about them and from them, you know, pre-death, and I haven't heard much about, you know, it seems like their names have been radio silent post-death, which I find really interesting. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
So I thought that was very odd. So, you know, those were a couple things I had some interest in, the DeFango in New York with Goodman, and then the Big Noses and post-death.
Yeah.
So other than that, dude, all good. I'm going to order a couple. I got paid today, so order a couple of those secret T-shirts.
Oh, cool! The propaganda shirt.
Maybe
Great.
I can make money off one of them in the future. You know,
you will be able to if we keep it limited. You just never know if we'll decide to make more. But I think these are going to be made to order. We're going to keep these very limited. So they will go up in value. Yeah, make sure you get at least one that you can keep in the bag, for eBay later.
For sure.
Definitely.
Hey, and also too, I hear a lot of people say like, oh, what are you going to do with silver? If the currency crashes and stuff, I've got a bunch of like 10-ounce bars.
Wow.
And if you go to like providentmetal.com, you can get these, like they call them snap bars. And it's like a 10-ounce bar that snaps off into a bunch of little half-ounce pieces.
Oh, so you can use them to spend. You mean in the apocalyptic future when there's no other real money around?
For sure. Exactly.
Right.
And
Cool.
ammunition is also always really good currency as well.
Yeah, sure. I mean, anything that would be valuable is good currency. Anything that would be valuable in an end of world scenario, like guns, ammo, canned food, those kinds of things, and then gold and silver too, and probably as long as we have power and stuff, cryptocurrency. I think will at least Bitcoin.
Yeah, totally.
Be worth something.
Totally.
So. All right, great.
So all good, man. Keep up the good work, bro.
Thanks.
All right. Talk to you later.
See ya. All right. Yeah, YouTube drama. He calls me up. Did you hear his joke? It's because one guy called me once and said he was molested by Tony Podesta in the basement of Comet Ping Pong or something like that. I gave the guy a hard time, and then ever since, this guy calls me and makes jokes about being the guy that got... He said he's the guy that got butt rammed by Tony Podesta. That was the joke. Or I think it's Tony Podesta that that guy ended up claiming. That was back in the day when we used to have people on my show. Did I seem unsure about Bitcoin, Sakura? I shouldn't seem that way. Whenever the price is going down, I always get nervous. But I have to remember, we're in really good conditions. I mean, people do not expect the Fed to do what it's going to do right now. So gold and silver are definitely underpriced, and most likely Bitcoin too. But I just want people to remember that Bitcoin is more risky, and gold and silver have been doing really well. So if you want less risk with the potential of less potential for reward, then gold and silver, they're going to do really well. There's going to be another round of quantitative easing, which people sooner than people think. Because anyway, I don't get into economics with you guys too much, but I keep an eye on it for sure. And there are a lot of issues, but one of them is going to be printing more money, another injection of QE, which will definitely make the price of silver and gold go up. So, and most likely the price of Bitcoin too. Bitcoin bounced back. It was trying to go under 10,000. It did a few times, but it's over 10,000 now, 10,400 or so. But other stuff not performing so well, like LiteCoin. It's difficult stuff. Oh, you can buy more You can buy cryptocurrency though, with a link that I put in the description of this video on DLive and on the podcast. I don't think I have it on YouTube, but I have it on DLive and my podcast. Podcast you can listen to anywhere there are podcasts by looking for Lift the Veil. Is that my first phone call? I did have a few other people calling, so I want to give them a chance. Somebody else called me and said they had information about, said they were a correctional officer, had more information about Epstein. This is Nathan, you're on the air.
What?
Hey, you're on the air. Hello?
You're on the air.
Weird. That was really crazy. Maybe they thought I had somebody picking up my calls for me. They were smoking weed, I think. What? Oh my God, he says you're on the air. They're probably live streaming it right now. That's what you get. 650-GAY taxi. 650-429-8294. Otherwise, we're going to play us out with Nassim Highlight today. And because we were talking about her today and we had that huge story. All right, we're going to count down because I think I might have something I can do real quick if we're off. No, we wouldn't be able to make it. Go check out a sample t-shirt. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Thanks for tuning into the live show on DLive. Thanks for my top contributors today, Jeff Brady, Joe Hovis, The Ugly Jew. You guys helped make it happen. DLive.tv/lifttheveil, Twitch.tv/lifttheveil411, YouTube.com/lifttheveil if you want to catch things there. And there are replays everywhere, and there's a podcast and everything else. And you can go to truthclothing.io to pick up a t-shirt, which helps support the show. And you get something really nice for it, including our new propaganda tee. All right, guys, have a great weekend. I'll see you on Sunday.
Not to wear bloody fashion, not to sell your soul to the world of money, fame, bloody joy, solid dead boy. Do you care? Do you care? One in a million. Do you dare to walk in an opposite direction where you see the color of compassion? Get your words out in any situation, help them see through.
All right, cool. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in on every different platform. I love you guys. I hope you have a good weekend. I'll see you on Sunday, 2 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. Eastern time, 3:30 right now. That's a 33. Great time to end the show. You know what it is. Boom.